Alrighty, guys, we have another episode here of our division breakdown series. If you're just joining us here, each week as we get closer to the season starting, we're releasing our division breakdowns where we break down individually each team of a specific division. This is the division breakdown of the AFC East. We'll break down a deep analysis of each teams, as well as give our final record standings, predictions, if you will, of how a division will play out. So let's go ahead and dive on in here with the AFC East. We each got two teams. Chase gets two. I get two. Chase, hit us up with your first team.
All right, my first team should come to no surprise is the Jets, Jets. All right, so this team I think has everything looking forward to this season, right? These next two seasons are going to be the highlight of some Jets fans' life, right? We're coming off of a Rookie of the Year, not one but both offense and defense Rookie of the Year with Garrett Wilson winning the offensive one and then Sauce Gardner winning the defensive one. They also now have two first-rounders coming around the edges with the addition of Will McDonald in the draft, first round, and then Jermaine Johnson Jr. from last year's draft. So they have two first-round rushers. We got the middle of the line, defensive line, locked up with Quentin Williams, one of the best D tackles in the game. They have a four-time Pro Bowler, C.J. Mosley, finally back after like 2 or 3 years sitting out. I'm pretty sure he signed the same time that Le'Veon Bell did, and he's just now starting to play it, because of all the COVID and injury stuff. But he's back, racked up his tackles last year, is going to be a beast in the middle of the field, bringing up that defense, ending with the safeties. They got Adrian Amos over from the Packers. It seems like all the Packers just came over. He's a beast safety, so he's going to be a monster in that defensive field. And then the big addition that everyone knows, probably the biggest addition, not probably, the biggest addition of the offseason, Aaron Rodgers, finally changing teams, going over to New York. I know, groundbreaking.
I thought you were going with the Allen Lazard edition there.
Allen Lazard. I think even Randall Cobb may be a bigger one. No, I'm kidding. Going back, Aaron Rodgers, the 4-time MVP, 2 back-to-back leading into last season, had his most down year, still top 10 in most quarterback standards, right? One of the best years for like Kirk Cousins of all, at his down year. So he's still an elite quarterback heading into this stacked division. I think the Jets are going to be just fine. They're bringing over some of his buddies, right? Got Breece Hall coming back from injury. Looked like he should have won the Rookie of the Year, but tore his ACL last year. Robert Saleh said that he is going to be healthy for this season, so we'll see. Coaches tend to lie to us, right? Cliff Kingsbury said Josh Rosen was his guy, and then drafted Kyler Murray number 1 overall. Coaches lie to us, but I believe that Breece Hall will be there week 1, so I'm excited for him. Dominant running back from Iowa State, and then the smaller additions, bringing over Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard, as we already mentioned, just to further up that receiving core, who still has Corey Davis on it. They got rid of Denzel Mims and Elijah Moore, but they brought in more people. So, and I'm really excited. Got C.J. Uzomah there from the Bengals. He came over last year, so he's not a new addition. And I feel like the Jets are just heading in places, right? Rodgers seems bought in. He finally cut his hair, shaved off all of his facial hair, starting to grow that back. Looks like an actual person. Came back from his darkness retreat and decided he loves football again. So it's fun to see. I'm going to very much look forward to the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets, probably the most intriguing team coming into it. Obviously, whenever you get, that kind of trade or that, acquisition of an elite quarterback going to a new team, obviously they're going to be, the talk of the league and rightfully so, right? So the Jets felt like they were honestly, a quarterback away from seriously competing. And so now we'll find out if that's really true. I have concerns about the Jets. I'm not high on them as everyone else is. I think maybe just because I feel kind of tainted from last season with how the Russell Wilson experiment worked out. I still have my resolve kind of on what that process is going to look like. Plus, I don't think, besides Garrett Wilson, I'm not high really on any of the receivers that the Jets have. Allen Lazard was never really anything in Green Bay. McCole Hardman showed flashes. I think that the Chiefs didn't really do enough to get his full potential. I'll admit that. I don't think they did enough to do that, but he was supposed to be Tyreek's replacement. They never really tapped into that fully. So I don't really know there, but it's not like a huge addition, not like a game changer either way. Corey Davis, a veteran wide receiver, but none of that receiver core really scares you besides of Garrett Wilson. So I do have that would be my one concern that I have with the Jets is their receiving core. Is it going to be enough? Does Aaron Rodgers still have enough to elevate those receivers around him? I'm trying not to take last season. I know there was a lot that went into last season with how Aaron Rodgers played, and I get that. So I'm trying not to get that, but it's just still in the back of my mind, like what I was left seeing the last time I saw Aaron Rodgers. And so he seems to be reinvigorated. He seems to be doing this, but I just don't know if that receiving core is going to be enough really for them to actually make a deep run in the playoffs. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out, and we'll see how elite Aaron Rodgers still is. Either way, I think it's going to be exciting to watch. But they're going to have a gauntlet of a schedule coming up, and so right off the bat, right off the gate, we're going to see them play some tough teams, and so they're going to be tested really early on. So it'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, I agree. This, just being in this division alone, as we cover it, you'll see this division has three, I believe, stacked teams, three superstar teams. Then there's the other team, and I don't want to give away my rankings yet, so I won't mention anything. But
well, that'll be a perfect segue right here. Let me just knock them out real quick. So let's go ahead and do the New England Patriots, right?
Perfect.
So it's crazy to think that we're at a point where the New England Patriots are the worst team in their division, right? I'll kind of show my hand here. I don't think it's a shocker to anybody. I even think Patriots fans, diehard Patriots fans are going to be able to put them up there, against any one of these other teams, right? It's just crazy to think about how, honestly, like my entire life, Patriots were just number. It just amazes me how like that division was never, ever, ever good.
No.
Like, I just still can't get, like, for the 20-some years that Brady was there, it just amazed me that division was never good. And all of a sudden he leaves, and now it's one of the best divisions, if not the best division in all of football. So just kind of weird how fate plays out. We already know how the football gods love Brady. So, but yeah. So, I mean, we talk about some additions that they made. They tried to give Mac Jones some help. They signed Juju Smith-Schuster. Well, that wasn't really the biggest thing. They lost way more than they gained. I mean, they lost Damian Harris, they lost Jacoby Myers, they lost Nelson Aguilar, they lost Jonnu Smith. They went in on like this huge like double tight end deal with Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, paid them like a butt ton of money for two tight ends. That was super strange. That didn't work out. The problem last year was they didn't have an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
They had Matt Patricia and somebody else who are defensive players like tag teaming the offense, which is just stupid. It's just stupid. Like I don't get how Belichick could make that decision, like consciously make that decision. It just doesn't make sense. And so obviously Mac Jones took a huge hit after he showed signs of being, capable in his rookie season. And then last year, I don't want to say it's all his fault. There was, some stuff there that I think he could have done better because Zappi came in and Bailey Zappi, and he played with the same cast and outplayed Jones. So, there was stuff there that Jones could take a fault. But overall, it was definitely the offense, the offensive scheme, the offensive coaching just wasn't set up. But I don't think they've done anything really to help Mac Jones either. They didn't help strengthen the offensive line. That was a problem. They didn't give him any big targets at wide receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster is not a number one wide receiver. It's just not going to work out. And so, as far as the offense goes, it's very poor. They're not setting Mac Jones up for success. Even bring in Bill O'Brien from the Crimson Tide. I just still don't. The talent just on that team is just not there, especially not there to compete in this division. We want to talk about their defense. They grabbed one of our favorite players. I know your cornerback one was
Yes.
Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. He looks like he could be great. But that's about it. Keon White was a good addition. But other than that, they haven't really done anything to get closer to the rest of the division. The rest of the division is just miles and miles apart. And it's tough for me to be in on the Patriots. Now they're gonna compete and they're gonna be around 500 just because their defense has what's kept them in the games for so long. So they're gonna be able to be in some games. They're gonna be able to win some games. They almost made the playoffs last year. They were one game away. They needed some other stuff to happen. So like the competition is there to where they can compete. But I don't see it happening. I think while the rest of the division is getting better each offseason, the Patriots are arguably getting worse, if not just staying stagnant. And that's not, you can't do that in the NFL, and you especially can't do it in a division like the AFC East.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I don't think the Patriots. I don't know what Bill Belichick had a couple years with Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez where they tore up the league. Then he's been trying to do that ever since. He drafted 2 tight ends in 2020, really, really high, Joseph Osai, and I don't even remember the other guy. And then all of a sudden, he brought Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. They let go of Jonnu, and he signed Mike Gesicki. So he still, brought in that other tight end, and that's not what they needed, right? Mike Gesicki is not taking this team anywhere. I like Mike Gesicki. I think he's a heck of a good football player. But Matthew Judon, I think he gets the short end of the stick. He's having some of his best seasons of his career on the Patriots when they're no longer good. I feel bad for him. But Patriots drafted a punter and a kicker in this year's draft. How to win games is not draft special teams. Like, that doesn't correlate to win. So just wild to see what's happening with those guys. But that brings me to my next team, the Buffalo Bills. So I don't think it's very, you might find it a little jarring, but I think it's pretty easy. I can say the Buffalo Bills have the most electric player in all of professional sports on their team, and Josh Allen. Not the best quarterback, not just the most electric, right? This guy can jump through walls. He's got one of the strongest arms in the NFL. He's super fast. He's super tall. I mean, he's just fun to watch, right? Even when he was bad his rookie year, this guy was hurtling over at people like Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr in that Vikings game. I mean, this guy's just electric to watch. Then the other side of the offense, they pair him with a top 5 wide receiver in Stephon Diggs, and that's about it for their offense, right? Gabe Davis, everyone propped him up after that 5-touchdown game he had against Kansas City. I never really seen it. He's a decent deep ball threat, but other than that, he's not a number 2 wide receiver in this league, especially not in this division in the AFC at all, where there's really good teams. I think their defense is such a question mark. They've ran these 2 old safeties, that Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. Those 2 guys are studs, but they're up there in age. Both of them had major injuries the last couple of seasons. Are they going to bounce back? Is Micah Hyde, I think this is his second ACL tear. Is he going to be the same Micah Hyde that he was for all these years that we've known him? Their secondary last year, they got real banged up. They had to play on third and fourth string cornerbacks, and they kind of suffered. They've got that young cornerback. Is that enough to keep Pete with these, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jacksons of the AFC? Von Miller, he was brought in as Von Miller, this big addition. He got hurt. He's up there in age. I just think they had it all for them to win, right? They went into that playoff game a couple years ago against the Chiefs. They look like the next best thing, and I just think they've kind of done the lateral moves, right? I think this is a very good team. I think they're going to be 1 or 2 in the AFC. They have potential to be one of the best teams, and I think it all hinges on, can Josh Allen continue to do this Cam Newton 2015 act of putting the team on his shoulder and winning games?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. The Bills, they're going to be around, right? They're not going anywhere. Even if necessarily, did they get any better? No. But are they still good enough to where they can compete? And obviously the answer is yes. So the problem with the Bills is they are regular season champs, right? They ball out in the besides that one playoff win, series, including that divisional game with the Chiefs, where Josh Allen had the best 2 playoff games probably ever. Besides that right there, they just haven't really been a playoff team. Right, they had an embarrassing loss to the Bengals at home last year. Demoralizing loss against the Chiefs the year before. Another loss to the Chiefs a year before in the AFC. So they've been close. They've been around there. But when it comes to the playoffs, they can't get it done. And so I struggle to think here that they're kind of like the Cowboys of the AFC, to where every year it's the Bills year, and then they always find a way to choke and not happen. So it's hard for me to sit there and say I really believe in this team when I don't think they've done anything to get better. Von Miller coming back and being healthy is going to be crucial. They were a completely different team after he got injured. anybody could see that. So if he can be out there and be the Von Miller that we know and still play, to his elite level and stay healthy, they are going to be a problem. My biggest question is going to be, what are they going to get out of their in Dalton Kincaid and their new tight end, right? He's supposed to be this new not reincarnation, but this Travis Kelce kind of copy. I wonder if he's going to be able to live up to that hype and kind of play out. That might be a key factor because outside of Stephon Diggs, they don't really have another wide receiver option. And that's kind of hindered them in the past. So we'll see if he's even Dawson Knox is good, but he still hasn't been that like elite guy that can kind of step up. So we'll see what happens there. And then obviously, I think what we saw last year was a huge step back when they lost Brian Daboll. As the offensive coordinator, he kind of helped put them where they are, and they definitely took a noticeable step back after he left. And we saw Daniel Jones and the Giants take a notable step forward. And so that's showing how good of a coach he is when we see, kind of two sides of that spectrum, right? What happens when he was gone and what happens when he was there. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens year 2 post Daboll, if they've kind of gotten to the swing of things or kind of go back to kind of pick up where they left off to build off of what they had last year. But it's going to be tough. I think that their window of their Super Bowl window is still open, but it's not as open as it was before. They've left room to where some other teams are. So obviously, the big three, right, was going to be Chiefs, Bengals, and Bills, right? They were there for the past couple of seasons, but now it's getting rooms for possibly the Jets, possibly the next thing I'm going to talk about, the Dolphins. Maybe the Chargers are knocking on there. The Ravens, if they ever decide to get healthy, put something together. Some of these other teams are kind of making moves to kind of get up there. Jaguars, so and to where the gap is kind of closing. They might be whistling their window. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. The talent is there. We'll see if they're able to actually put it all together and do something in the postseason.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
And to wrap up then our division breakdown, we'll hit up team number 4 here, and that is the Miami Dolphins. Now, I want to preface this because this is going to be, what I'm about to tell you is going to be based on if and only if Tua can stay healthy. He cannot miss time at all. If he misses time, then the Dolphins, even with the addition of Mike White as a backup quarterback, who we've seen is serviceable, I don't see it. And so what they've done, right? So they brought in some receiver help. They brought in back some Berrios. They've brought in Robbie Anderson. The biggest offseason addition was Jalen Ramsey. Obviously, he's injured now and he's out until November or December at the latest. So that's tough. But their defense was really never the problem. Their offense was the problem. Their offense is fantastic. You look what they have with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, a top 3 quarterback tandem in the league for sure. They made moves to bring in Bradley Chubb last year on defense. They traded for him. We haven't seen the fruit of that yet, so we'll see what happens with the whole offseason with the team if Chubb is able to kind of get back to what he was early on with the Broncos. So Jalen Phillips had a career year. So there's a lot of players there that are good, especially on defense. So I'm excited to watch them. It's all going to depend on if Tua can stay healthy. When Tua was healthy, they were very good offensively. Mike McDaniel is a fantastic coach, and we saw them kind of turn the corner there early on in the season when it looks like they were playing some close games, struggling, and all of a sudden they kind of flipped a switch and turned it on. And then it all came crashing down on that, I believe it was a Thursday night game against the Bengals where Tua got hurt.
Yes.
And then he was never the same. Then he got re-hurt and he was just out and he couldn't get back on the field. But even with their third string quarterback, right, and Skylar Thompson, they were still able to go toe-to-toe with the Bills in a playoff game, like bringing up the Bills again. Like they struggle in the playoffs to a third string quarterback in the Dolphins. They were almost able to beat the Bills, right? So who knows, what would happen if Tua is healthy, right? So with Tua healthy, I just love the Miami offense so much that I think that they could be one of the best offenses in the league. I'm not really big on Tua, but Tua is able to get the ball to Tyreek Hill and to Jalen Waddle, and that's pretty much all you have to do. We see what they're able to do after the catch, and so Just throw it to them and let them do the rest. Um, also not so the draft, right? Their running back room is kind of interesting. A lot of kind of 49ers, old players from 49ers over on the team that usually get banged up and they don't have a full service of a season. So they drafted Devon Cheney, who's going to be a stud. They got Cam Smith at cornerback. I know you loved him too.
Yes.
Coming out. So they've got some good players there with the draft picks. They didn't have that much draft capital, right? We know they lost the first round pick due to some tampering and some other things, and they lost it or they spent one on Bradley Chubb as well. So some picks that they had that had to forfeit or didn't use. So they didn't have a lot of drafts, so they did the most with it. I think it was a serviceable draft, but yeah, it's all contingent, right? It's all contingent on Tua. If Tua is healthy, they can be dominant. And if Tua is not healthy, I honestly, as soon as he goes down, I don't even care when he goes down. I don't care. I don't care if it's game 1, if it's game 5, if it's game 16. Whenever he goes down once and misses time because of injury, I'm immediately writing the Dolphins off.
Yep. No, I think that's a very fair assumption, right? The Dolphins, we've seen it electric, one of the best shows on football when he was healthy. When he got hurt, a different story, right? One of the fastest teams, you mentioned Devon Achane there getting drafted. You already had Waddle and you already had Hill. I think this has got to be the fastest team in football. Cam Smith is a speedster out of South Carolina. So just very fast team with a very, very intelligent head coach. I think one of the best head coaches. I think if he beats the Bills there, he wins Coach of the Year and over DeBall. I think DeBall won it because he beat the Vikings, which everyone's seen happening. But man, I'm trashing the Vikings a lot for not being in this episode. But you get what you get. But I think the Dolphins are a very talented team. I just think they have so much injury unluck, right? They get hurt a lot. They get players that get hurt a lot. You mentioned they bring over all those Niners players. We know the Niners players tend to get hurt. The Niners skill positions are always out. Jalen Ramsey caught the injury bug really early in training camp this year. So I just hope the Dolphins can stay healthy. I'd like to see the best form of them this year.
I agree. I think that's going to make for the best football, and I'm excited to watch how this division plays out. To me, I think this division is going to come into like the final 2 weeks. I don't think there's going to be any team's going to have like a more than throughout the whole season. Honestly, I don't think there's going to be any team that has more than a 2-game lead at any point. And the division is going to come down to kind of like the last 2 weeks. Might have to be some tiebreakers thrown in there to kind of do it. So it's going to be a very competitive division. I hope. That's my prediction to watch. And so definitely the division that I have my eye on the most coming into the season. So with that being said, that's our in-depth analysis there of each team's. So now let's go ahead and give our final predictions. Now this isn't, we're not doing wins or losses. It's just the standings, right? So 1 through 4, how we think the division is going to play out at the end of the season. Chase, I'll let you go ahead and go first.
Okay, yeah. Now, I think this, as we said, I think this is the best division in football. I think it might actually be everything the media is hyping it up to be. I think there might be 3 playoff teams from this division. But my order standings, I'm going to start at number 1. I'm going the Jets at number 1, right? Rodgers doesn't lose his divisions back to back. We all know what happened last year with the Packers. I think he's completely bought into Rodgers' Saleh's system. I think the Jets are the best team in this division. Number 2, we're going Josh Allen and the Bills. As much as I worry about some of these other parts on the field, I think his offense is enough, right? They win regular season games. They're going to be in the playoffs, number 2. Number 3, given that Tua's healthy, I'm still putting, whether he's unhealthy or not, honestly, I'm still putting the Dolphins at 3. And I think those are all very close. And then I think you have a pretty sizable gap. And at 4, you have the Patriots.
I went, obviously a different route here. And like I said, preface it before, I'm telling this is strictly with the hope. I'm not 100% into it, but this is strictly with the hope that Tua is healthy. And so I'm going to go with my division winner, the Miami Dolphins. I think they are the most complete team, offense and defense, than any of the other teams. Which is weird because I usually go with the team that has the best quarterback. I usually kind of write them into first. I don't think Tua is the best quarterback in that division. But I think they're the most complete team in this division. I think that in the end, that's what's gonna get them to win is how complete they are. So I have Dolphins number one. I've got the Bills at number two. I've got the Jets at number three. And that's just because what I kind of said before, where I'm skeptical about the whole Aaron Rodgers experiment based on what I haven't been able to shake what I saw last year. And so I don't think that receiving core is any more talented than what he was working with in Green Bay, specifically because he brought over half of the receivers from Green Bay anyway.
Yes.
So it's hard for me to move the needle on that. I love Garrett Wilson. Obviously, it was offensive rookie of the year. I think he'll have a breakout year, especially with Rodgers. Rodgers is going to be able to help him out a lot. But I don't know if he's going to be, the type of player on offense, like a Devontae Adams is to kind of carry them when they don't really have much else offensively.
Yes.
So that's my reserve there for the Jets. And obviously the Patriots, there's no need to sugarcoat it. They're going to be, in fourth place there, barring some sort of miraculous thing to happen. Maybe lightning strikes Miami, New York, and Buffalo all at the same time, and they lose their whole entire team. I don't even know. That's my standing. So I got Dolphins, Bills, Jets, and Patriots.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see that happening. I don't think we can say enough good things about what Mike McDaniel's done with the Dolphins. I think he is the best head coach in this division at this point in time. I know Bill Belichick has all that history, but his GM decisions, I think, have brought down his coaching ability in my mind, and I'm given the nod. So I'm okay. I think there's a real chance for any of those top three teams to be in those orders. But I also believe that all three of those teams are playoff caliber, maybe even Super Bowl caliber teams.
I'm expecting all three of those teams to make the playoffs. It'd be tough to say that any of those teams aren't going to make the playoffs. Obviously, like I said, with the Dolphins, if Tua is out, then maybe we can talk. But as far as them being healthy, yeah. I think it's pretty cut and dry. Those are three of the best teams in the AFC, and that they'll be able to make the playoffs. But that's our division breakdown here for the AFC East. Let us know in the comments your final predictions for the AFC East, and let us know maybe some additions, subtractions there that we missed, things we didn't focus on. Obviously, there's a lot. We try to go as in-depth as we can, but we still miss some stuff. So let us know in the comments what you think of our division breakdown here at the AFC East, and make sure you check out the rest of our division breakdown series. Right, each week we're releasing two a week until we get to the season opener. So catch out those division breakdown series. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time on All Things Football.